Okay, so now I'm going to go into the blue within my throat space, and I'm just going to start with my swirl and do my filler. Swirl, echo the tail, come around, maybe throw in a few feathers, maybe not. Now I have this basic swirl again as a tutorial. It's a 3-parter on YouTube. And that basic swirl is a wonderful design just to put in areas where you want some movement and some filler, but you don't want to use the traditional meander. And I always have said, I think that the swirl has become the new meander. And again, I like to throw in a few feathers just to kind of stylize it. And I'm going to fill this all the way up and over, and then I will repeat the other side. Then we're going to roll. I'm going to do the side basting, and then we're actually going to start to get into the panel itself. And we'll start working on that a bit. So a lot of times when I'm on a fabric that actually matches the fabric or the thread color that I'm using, what I'll do is I turn off my lights and I simply use my side lights as I am right now. And actually there's usually much less. We still have the filming lights, so you can at least see some of the texture, which is what it was that I want you to see. So again, I'm just simply using that filler, coming around, going into my echoes with my swirl, and I'm simply filling that in to give that wonderful positive negative space. Make sure to get right up close to those edges when you're doing filler in an area. You don't want to leave a space here between the ditch and the space that you're filling. You want to make sure to get right up in there. Sometimes I'll put feathers right up and in there and treat it kind of like a spine, just to kind of tie it in there. Okay, so now for this cornerstone, what I'm going to do is we're going to go in 1/2 inch all the way around. We're going to go right with an old basic here. We're going to go right with our Lotus. Get that machine out of the way, get this straight. Darken my 45. And now for our left corner, or I'm sorry, our right corner. Swirl, bump, double bump, curve around, swing back, bump the top, double bump, come down, swing up, bump, double bump, curve around, swing up, bump the top, double bump, come down, lock our stitches, and we are out of there. Okay, I'm going to get rid of my chalk. And now we can see that wonderful corner texture with that Lotus. Okay, so before we get started here, let's take a look at this. So let's bring the camera right over here. So what my plan is, as we discussed when this was hanging, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use some circles on these medallions just to kind of pop them out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiple ditch these different areas here. Patrick, you want to get a little bit of a tight shot on that, so zoom in. Okay, and you can see these different lines. We're going to go ahead, we're going to ditch all of those. And then, of course, now we'll zoom out. And let's come down to the panel. Okay, so then I'm going to work with this circle. I'm going to work with these large circles. I'm going to ditch around the guitars, of course, and all the different kind of sections. I'll pick and choose just to keep it nice and stable so it doesn't get distorted. And this background area here where the circles are not, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to use filler in that area. I'll use like a matching yellowy gold kind of thread just to kind of match up with that the best I can. So that's how we're going to do this one. Okay, so now I'm going to take my circle, I'm going to line it up, going to lock my stitches. Okay, I'm going to change my start speed to 100. Line up my circle. Now this circle is actually a little bit too small, but I'm going to make it work. We're going to hit the edge of that circle the best we can without going into the dark. There, now I've got the outside of that circle. I'm going to come back down, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the lower portion here and do that ditch. Stay out of the black. I will add that on this particular custom quilt, this is a low low range custom, so I know I'm putting a little bit of extra work because of the beautiful guitars and the gift. That being said, I'm also not doing perfect ditch work on it or show ditch. Okay, so I'm coming down, we're gonna follow that. Shift my hands, come around. I'm gonna come back up now that that's done. And now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to skip one and come down to that second gold area. Take my time, stay in that narrow gold. Now I'm going to slow down because I'm going against the timing of the machine, and I'm actually going to come back a little ways. If you ever want to tip, if you think that your thread is going to start shredding, come back the other way, because this is when it's going to start to unwind, when I'm heading from right to left. And since I'm working in a straight line ditch, I'm just going to come back a little ways, and that will keep that thread from doing its unwind. Now I'm back to there. Now I'm going to follow that circle back down. Okay, and now I'm going to go into that next gold section near the bottom. Come down. Now I'm going to head back across. And you know what? Actually, what I'm going to do, since that's that bottom ditch, I'm going to go ahead, lock my stitches, and I'm going to start at the other side and come back, rather than tempt fate. Now we can head back. Okay, lock those stitches. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here. We already have our round here. We've done our ditch work here. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start with my small guy. I'm going to line that up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a small circle right on the outside there. And then I'm going to travel that ditch over a little ways to this area, and then I'm going to grab a larger circle, line that up, and I'm going to also, just to stabilize it, put another circle right in that area, and I'll repeat this over on the other side. Okay, so what I've done is I've worked my way down the quilt itself is I have basted the panel. Aside from doing the ditch work in this frame within the panel. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here in this first one, and then I'm going to complete the circle little portion here, and then I'm going to just travel up and back on the areas that I think the ditch work needs to be to stabilize this beautiful fabric here. So as I work my way down the side, what I'm doing, of course, is doing my ditch work. Here on the edge. Locking my stitches. I'm going to change my stitch length. Come over here. Change my stitch length back to 12. Relock on.